Welcome to Just Minding My Business Media, LLC. Broaden the scope of your exposure for your business by going beyond the interview. Learn more at www.jmmbmediallc.com or email us at jmmbradio@gmail.com. Today's quote, happiness is debits equal credits. Alex Sonkin is the founder of the Due Diligence Project and the Virtual Family Office Hub, a revolutionary platform of vetted resources that supports hundreds of leading tax-focused CPA firms and family offices around the country. He has authored the Due Diligence Project and is published in Money Matters Volume Number 2, both available on Amazon. Alex is quoted in a number of articles regarding the evolution of the CPA industry published in Accounting Today and is regularly interviewed on popular radio programs, including It's Your Money and Your Life. He also hosts the Due Diligence Project podcast. In addition, Alex Sonkin is often invited to provide thought leadership throughout the United States, Canada, Germany, Switzerland, United Arab Emirates, and Norway. Welcome, Mr. Sonkin.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, welcome. Wow. So how did you get started in the finance world?
Well, I graduated University of Michigan Business School, and my first job was for a bank called Société Générale, which at the time was the 16th largest bank in the world, one of the biggest banks in France. And they had a option trading operation in Chicago. So my first experience was I was dropped onto the floor in the Chicago Board of Trade and learned how to trade options, make markets. For those of you who aren't familiar with what happens on the floors of these exchanges, or used to happen before everything went virtual and digital, there would be all sorts. If you watch Trading Places, you see the market makers down there making two-sided markets. We would buy and sell and be able to basically act as casinos for the world. And that's how I got started. Eventually, I realized that there's an opportunity to help people. On a floor, what we tried to do was create arbitrage. We would try to buy options on one exchange, sell very similar or the same options on another exchange. The three exchanges we had an operation on were the Chicago Board of Trade, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, and the Chicago Board of Options Exchange. And I really like the idea of making money without risk, meaning if I could buy one option on one exchange and sell a similar or exact same option on another exchange, almost the exact same time at different prices, buy low, sell high, it's called riskless arbitrage. And that idea, somehow or other, along the way, we were able to recreate that using the tax code. And even back in the day, I realized that tax attorneys were doing the same thing. They were going in the tax code and helping their high net worth clients reduce taxes, charge them a fee, and create an arbitrage for those taxpayers. So along the way, we started building family offices, supporting CPA firms, and we realized there was a big disconnect between all these CPAs, these tax-focused CPAs out there trying to serve their clients, and their lack of knowledge about how big the tax code was. It's constantly changing, and how many strategies there are in the tax code. And we started putting on events where we would bring in tax attorneys and specialists and introduce them to these CPAs. And we realized the magic was happening in the hallways of these events when these elite CPAs and these elite tax attorneys would start having these conversations and start talking about these strategies and how to modify the strategies and go really, really in depth. And we realized that these CPAs out there, there's millions out there who have huge hearts, who are trying to really help business owners. They really lack access to the very, very best resources, specialists, tax attorneys in the world. And we know they lack the access to them because when we look at the Fortune 500 companies, for instance, and we look at those 500 tax returns, we notice that 18% of the Fortune 500 companies are able to zero out their tax return. The other 82% who have access to the best CPA firms and law firms in the world don't know how to do this. And their tax returns, from our vantage point, They're not average. They're far below average. So these Fortune 500 companies are making all sorts of money at the highest level in the world, but they're not keeping that money properly because their CPA firms and law firms really aren't doing due diligence on sophisticated tax planning the proper way, or the way that these other 18% are doing it. And so that's where we come in. We come in as the intermediary. And what we've done is we've basically implemented a due diligence system that's very similar to what Netflix, Amazon, all the streaming movie services are using. If you remember how did we used to pick movies at Blockbuster? Remember Blockbuster?
Yeah.
We would go, we'd go on our date with our girlfriends, boyfriends, maybe order some food, pick up a pizza, right? Walk into Blockbuster and walk the aisles. We would flip the covers, read the cover, going, I wonder if we're going to like this movie. That was not very efficient, right? Sometimes we'd ask the people in the aisle, have you ever seen this movie? Are we going to like this movie? Right? I mean, this is what we did, right? We were basically creating our own little mini due diligence project. We were trying to do due diligence in like 5 minutes at a Blockbuster. We don't do that anymore. Why? Because Amazon, Prime, Netflix, all these streaming services, they basically just show us movies that millions of people have already watched and liked and go, hey, you're going to like this movie based on the movies that you watched over the last few years, 97 percentile. If you watch this show or movie, you're going to like it. We basically created that same facility for these CPAs who have even less time than we did back when we were trying to find a movie. And what we've done is we've allowed hundreds of CPAs to introduce their favorite resources, favorite strategies, favorite tax attorneys into the virtual family office hub. And inside the due diligence project, every independent member of our community, which are 99% CPA firms, they're reviewing the strategy, analyzing the strategy, being able to work with other CPAs in our community to figure out, is their client going to go to jail? Is it going to be an issue with audit or tax court if they implement this strategy, or if they just throw this strategy out if it's garbage? So we've been compiling these notes for the last 15 years, and we're able to take a CPA and help them reduce the time that it takes them to complete this due diligence by a factor of 10, and give them 10 times more confidence in being able to complete their due diligence by being able to interact with the notes, interact with the thought leaders, interact with other CPAs who are also in the same boat, trying to do tax returns, financial statements, and also do proactive tax planning for their most important clients.
Wow. I will definitely have to simmer on that.
So basically, it's independent peer review. That's what it is. And the independent peer review is really done by the tax-focused professionals who have the experience of audit and tax court. Like anyone could do peer review on, hey, did you like this movie or not, right? Your gardener, the guy who washes your car, ask him, did you like the movie or not? His feedback's valuable, but don't ask your gardener or the guy who washes your car, or even your financial advisor, your estate planning attorney, about sophisticated income tax planning solutions, because those people have virtually zero experience in audit and tax court. So who should we ask? We should probably ask our CPAs, because they're the ones who have to sign the tax returns, and they're the ones who are ultimately responsible for the tax strategies being implemented or not. But when you really understand what CPAs have to deal with how many deadlines they have in a year, just producing tax returns, financial statements, and servicing all their clients just takes up all their time. But what their biggest clients want, the ones who are successful, is they want proactive tax planning ideas. And that involves time and due diligence and understanding these strategies. CPAs don't have that time. So they don't even, most of them don't know that a community like ours even exists, because they're plugged into all these different associations that are just basically a bunch of other CPAs working with large firms, doing the same strategies that all the other CPA firms do, that amount to what the 82% of CPA firms that service the Fortune 500 companies do, which is just basically create very, very average standard plans that create very standard results. Now, the Fortune 500 companies aren't standard. Millionaires and billionaires aren't standard. They expect and want the same level of proficiency that they bring to their businesses. And so when we bring very average to below average tax planning to elite business owners, sometimes those elite business owners figured out that their CPA firm is really bringing them below average stuff, and then they fire those CPAs. So this is really and this is pretty much par for the course. This is what's par for the course out there. However, CPAs have big hearts. They're not in this just for the money. They really want to do better, but they're restricted by their time and just by their deadlines and by the fact that they have to jump through all these hoops that the IRS puts in front of them. And so when they meet our community and they realize we can save them all this time, we can give them all this confidence and allow them to really bring incredible ideas to their clients and be able to really bring massive value and create, better relationships with their most important clients, get more thank yous, and also generate more fees because they're actually bringing value. We're not talking about CPAs joining a new marketing program or getting AI to write a bunch of blog posts for them. Like, the business owners don't care about marketing and AI, for their CPAs. They don't care how good their CPA is and, oh, how many blogs did you write? Oh, did you get AI? No, they don't want that. They want due diligence. They don't want audits. They don't want tax court. They don't want to go to jail, and they don't want to pay taxes.
Right.
They don't want tax returns. Ida, do you want a tax return? Do you want a financial statement? No, we don't want that. We don't care about that stuff. We need that to deal with the government. But what we really want is our CPA to be on the wall, turning over every rock and showing us how we can minimize our costs and our taxes.
That is most interesting. That is most interesting, because I know for myself, when I hear the term CPA, I have a thought about that. These are these almost supernatural beings who deal with money and
that's right. That's right. They're supernatural. Ruth, the reason you say they're supernatural beings is because you may have at one point in your life come across this document called the U.S. Tax Code. I don't know if you've ever read this thing, but my goodness, the people who wrote it, like if you two were the queens of the universe, right? And you went out and said, hey, I need someone in my organization to put together a tax code, and they came back with this document, you would just be like, I need this person killed by the end of the day. Make sure they chop their head off by the end of the day. No one understands what the hell this is. But it's designed that way so that the billionaires, a handful of billionaires and their strategic advisors, can maneuver through it successfully, and everyone else gets snagged and caught in the rigmarole because it's really complicated and it's a big pile of gray area. That's really what it is.
Wow.
That's why people are so afraid of doing their own taxes.
I would be more scared of doing my own taxes than performing my own brain surgery at this point. Modern day, we don't go to war with people with guns on and people with swords on horses anymore. How do we go to war? With attorneys.
Yes.
That's how we go to war. So the team that has the smartest team of tax attorneys and CPAs who are tax focused, that's the team that's going to win.
Yeah.
Okay. And those 18% of billionaires, that's really what they figured out was they're winners, right? They're winning because they're billionaires, but they're not just comfortable. They don't want to just win in some things. They want to win across the board. They're nuts. They're just nut jobs. They want to win everywhere. So they don't want to be like, oh, we're really, really good at making money, but we're really bad at our tax return. We're going to just give all of it away. That's not who these people are. They want to win everywhere. And it involves, understanding how the tax code's created and what those areas in the tax code are that are clear pathways to success.
Yeah.
And they exist. Yeah.
Yes. Wow. So if CPAs want to work with you, how do they do so?
They go to the duediligenceproject.com, or my email is info@duediligenceproject.com, and they plug into our community. And we have very, very low cost membership. We're not here to sell memberships to CPAs because CPAs don't like paying for anything. But what we do is we built this independent peer review community, and we have hundreds and hundreds of members. We have over 10 members now who are former partners, tax level CPAs at the big four, KPMG, Deloitte, Anderson Consulting, Price Waterhouse. So we really have a tremendous community. We had 847 unique independent CPA firms participate in our summit in 2020. We're anticipating a larger audience for our summit here May 11th, 2023. Our community is growing, it's vibrant. Every time we add a new CPA, they add a new set of eyeballs to our existing strategies. Every time we help a billionaire, centimillionaire, multimillionaire, or just a millionaire out with their tax planning, we have their set of advisors, their attorneys, their CPAs reviewing the strategies. That's additional review, additional person looking at our strategy, which contributes to the quality and refinement of the due diligence on that strategy. Or it raises a question that we can either answer or not answer. And if we can't answer that question, we have to deal with that. We can't just pretend it doesn't exist, because we're all protecting one another. It's truly a community. It reminds me when I was a member of the Chicago Board of Trade and the Mercantile Exchange, Chicago Board Options Exchange, the memberships of those exchanges really police what happens on those exchanges. If there's a bad actor, they're just thrown out. Like, we don't need to bring in police, FBI. We don't need anyone outside. The membership actually polices itself. Like, someone says buy, someone else says sell. That's a contract. If someone wants to get out of that contract, that's a violation of membership rules. They may never be able to trade at the exchange again.
Wow.
And so what we're doing is we're really policing the entire financial services arena from the tax side. And we're making sure that bad actors don't get involved with our CPAs. And our CPAs, obviously, if you know CPAs, they do a couple things really, really well. They protect their clients from bad actors. Mm-hmm. But having a network like ours really allows them to communicate with other CPAs and really make that process even more efficient.
Yes. And it sounds like a big collaboration type environment where people are able to look at what's there, break it into little bitty pieces.
That's right.
And make sure it's foolproof.
Well, it's the concept is foolproof, but of course, my job and our job is to make sure nothing falls through the cracks, right? And that's what CPAs do. And because no one wants to be embarrassed and no one wants to lose big clients. And so our thought process, if we have enough eyeballs on it, it's like when you go to Amazon and you see a product that's reviewed by 5 people versus a competing product that's reviewed by 5,000 people. Right. What are you going to do? And it's got, both of them have 4.9 stars. You're like, I'm going to go with the 5,000.
Right. Exactly.
Go with 4.9 stars. Just if you really understand the power of what Jeff Bezos created right there, how much time and confidence did that give you right there? It's incredible. And the thing is, it works.
It does.
Works. So we know, and this is how I do everything in my life. Like, if I want to find out about something, I'll join a bunch of Facebook groups who have a bunch of people in there. Now, of course, some people are selling stuff, right? Other people are, but you can really quickly gather information out of these Facebook groups and really identify what the heck is going on. Mm-hmm. Where's the BS? Let's get rid of the BS and let's get to the bottom line.
Yes.
But with tax planning, it's not healthcare. We're not saving lives necessarily, but we're saving money. And in certain situations, that money can save lives. Mm-hmm. And, so we're very, very passionate. We do a lot of charitable work. We help a lot of charities as opposed to helping state and federal government. So some of the strategies involve really blessing lots of charities. We've raised hundreds of millions of dollars for charities. Some of these charities help sick children. We're very, very proud of that work. And a lot of the business owners who are doing this just to save their tax, they may not even be thinking about the charities, but all of a sudden now they're helping charities as well. So we're excited to create these win-win-wins along the way. And we really want to just do good and do the right thing, and also just bring good things to the world.
And that's
could you just for a moment tell us a little bit about, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off because yeah. Lovely. The Virtual Family Office Hub. What is that?
Yeah, the Virtual Family Office Hub is really how we started. Our idea there was to build family offices. And a family office, for those who are maybe hearing that term for the first time, is really a place where someone who's kind of high net worth, maybe at least, typically they were reserved for billionaires or people worth hundreds of millions of dollars, where they can have an office with a CPA firm, their financial advisory firm, their law firms, everyone there, so they can make one phone call to the head of that family office and say, I'm selling this asset, I'm buying this asset, I've got this situation, I've got this tax problem, just fix it for me. Because people who don't have a family office essentially are running their business and also running their own family office, meaning they've got to call their CPA, their attorney, their advisor, and go, hey, I've got this situation, what do you think? Then they get 17 different answers. Now, the problem with that is that business owner has no clue which answer to go with, because they're not a financial professional. They don't know how to run a family office. They're not a tax expert. They literally are not qualified to deal with this, even though they've created all this wealth. So they're actually further away from the answer than when they started. So, and the problem with these family offices is all of these, the attorneys, CPAs, all these people really are not on the same team. And if they are on the same team, are they really the best people in the world working in some guy's office who's a really rich guy? Like, does the best attorney in the world want to work for some rich guy in XYZ state working for Mr. Smith? I don't think so. I think the best attorney in the world wants to operate his own shop somewhere else, maybe in Aspen, maybe wherever he wants to be, right? He's the best attorney in the world in his area. So this idea of having static family offices where you're going to be able to outfit them with the best people in the world, it's just not going to work. So our idea was, hey, let's build virtual family offices where we can build a family office like with Lego pieces, where we can find the very best attorney specialists, and all of a sudden now your family office has the best people in the world vetted by hundreds of independent CPA firms and family offices like yours. And your attorney doesn't have to be, driving distance to your office, because we have technology. And now you can have the best set of attorneys in the world supporting your family office. And who should be leading your family office? Should be your financial advisor, whose net worth may be 1/100th of yours. You created all this wealth, and now you're going to have a financial advisor whose net worth is 1/100th of your net worth advising you on your wealth. Does that make any sense? Maybe. But so our idea was, let's have a tax-focused person lead the family office, because no one has any idea what the hell is going on in the tax code. And this person's going to help you keep the money that you've earned. And then we're going to basically outsource or bring in the best advisors, the best resources, the best money managers. So if you want those services or want to invest with other family offices, which I think is what family office owners want, they want to find other billionaires, other centimillionaires who've created wealth in other industries or the same industry, and figure out what they're doing and maybe invest with them, as opposed to find some financial advisor who knows, some Morgan Stanley guy, no offense to Morgan Stanley, and trust them with their wealth, because this guy, how much wealth has he created? So the value in the financial services industry, in our opinion, is, like the technical industry. If you really look at the technical industry, no one wants to go to engineering school because it's like really hard stuff to learn engineering. It's like, let me just learn how to sell something. No one wants to get a CPA and pass the CPA exam, because really that means really understanding the tax code. That's hard work. So in the financial services area, the people who really understand the tax code, and there's millions of CPAs, but we want to work with the top 1%, that group, and then the tax attorneys who specialize in their specific areas of this monstrous tax code. That's really the community that we're attracting, that we are building and growing. And that's really what we want to keep really, really tight. And also we're just constantly expanding every year, only attracting the most elite tax attorneys, most elite CPAs, and just conducting due diligence independently. And every time our community grows, we're adding new resources and refining the due diligence on our existing resources. We bring that into our virtual family offices. And now all of a sudden, how can Jeff Bezos's family office compete with, let's just say we take a CPA firm out of Arkansas and we outfit them with the best resources in the world. They're now better family offices than Jeff Bezos's family office at this point. Obviously, Jeff Bezos has certain relationships that are very unique to being worth $200 billion. And that makes his family office unique. But, and he could really build it out. He doesn't necessarily need our help. But there's millions of people that aren't at his level that do.
Wow, that's very ingenious. I'm really, it's a collaboration of the best of the best.
It's a collaboration of the best of the best. And then in my prior history, I'm not involved in this business, but this is a business that God gave me this idea many years ago. I don't know if you've ever seen macro bars by Go Macro. If you ever go to Whole Foods or Trader Joe's or any grocery store, you'll see these protein bars called macro bars. So I married a school teacher. Her mom got cancer, breast cancer. My aunt had cancer. This was 20 years ago. They both cured their cancer with this macrobiotic diet. And God gave me this idea that, hey, you should tell your wife and mother-in-law to start this company and start selling your mom's cookies. My wife was a school teacher at the time, and that was the last time my wife listened to me. And they started this company called Go Macro. Long story short, PepsiCo's been trying to acquire us. We're like in 26,000 grocery stores around the country. And it's based on a diet that's cured cancer for 2 members of our family. And we've got this crazy following. And it's, we are the leading protein and energy bar company out there in all the health food stores. So if you see Go Macro bars, we have like every certification you can get. But what makes them really sell is they taste amazing. So Go Macro bars, woman-owned company, very proud of my wife. It's a really cool story. A little cute school teacher now running a global brand. So
wow, we're gonna have to have her on. We would love to hear more about that.
She is not gonna, she does not want to do these interviews, and she doesn't talk about it. She's one of those people that really gets is very shy and doesn't really like to talk about her story and things like that. But she's gotten to the point that, the quality of the product and the quality of the company speak for itself. And she's gotten to the point where she doesn't have to do these kinds of shows because she just doesn't like it.
I mean, I know, but we would love to. I understand that, but we would love to. But if
I get it. I'll ask her. I just know that, that's kind of one of it. Some people this is the kind of stuff they absolutely hate, getting up on stage, talking about themselves. Most people love it, right? But people like my wife, they're like, they get nervous and excited. And it's like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this.
Understood. It's very well
the next time I'm in the store, I'll pick up the cookies.
Yeah, the Go Macro bars. Check it out, and then you'll remember this conversation.
Absolutely. Wow. Again, Alex, how do people get in contact with you?
Well, they can find us at due-diligenceproject.com, DUE Diligence, DILIGENC project.com, or info@due-diligenceproject.com, or you can find Go Macro, GOMACRO, gomacro.com. And check out the website. That's maybe for most of your audience, that would be a fun little treat. Find those macro bars and be like, man, that's the American dream. Little school teacher just making phone calls, and signing up Amazon and all this. It's really cool. I watched the whole thing happen, real time. And what a country we live in. What a great country.
Yes. And what a purpose. That was the purpose.
And that, what's really cool is my wife and her mom had multiple opportunities to sell to private equity, to PepsiCo and things like that. And, they never went into it for the money. And so they never built the company to actually sell it. They built it to, because it helped cure cancer in my family. And my wife was working really, really hard because my mother-in-law had, this was back in 2000, 2001, when the market crashed. They lost a bunch of money in the market crash. And my wife just wanted to help her mom with her retirement. And that was the goal. But it was never to build this massive company and sell it and get rich. And so, when these opportunities to exit come up, it's like it's not really exciting to my wife at all. It's just running the business and building the business and supporting all these families that work for the company and ultimately the product. is making a difference in the world as well. So
Yeah, and her purpose is pure.
is.
But anytime you get into something because of money, that should not be the first thing.
It doesn't work, right?
It doesn't work. It doesn't
If it worked,
work.
we'd be telling your audience it works.
It
does
really
not work.
doesn't work. Oh my goodness, Alex, this has been amazing. We'll definitely have to have you come back again. And we really
been my pleasure.
appreciate the education.
Mhm.
And those of you who are CPAs out there, and do you take people that want to be the best of the best? Alex?
We do. We have all sorts of strategies for people who were earning, 200,000-300,000 a year as well. So it obviously, our stuff is tax driven. So if someone's making no money, they don't have a tax problem. There's not much, we have things to help them out because we're like Amazon. We have so many different things. But the way we started, Amazon started with books. We started with sophisticated tax planning. We also have a health insurance solution that is, we know is revolutionary, that Amazon and Keller Williams and FedEx and Grant Cardone's companies, they're all using, and we have access to the same program. We had access to them 10 years ago. We told the world that we have the best health insurance program out there. And now, since we told the world, who's agreed with us? Jeff Bezos, the leaders of FedEx, the leaders of Keller Williams, and then Grant Cardone's basically putting all of his companies through this health insurance program. So we're basically taking our CPAs, giving them access to the best health insurance in the world, and then helping them deliver that to their business owners as well. So really into cost savings, tax savings. We want to create ROI, not from necessarily investment performance, but from the elimination of just unnecessary money going out to third parties.
Excellent. Excellent.
That's definitely excellent. Wow.
Mm.
Thank you so much, Alex. This has been eye-opening. We truly appreciate you and looking forward to more conversations.
Ida and Ruth, it's been a pleasure. You guys are lovely.